Hi, it's Craig Rosenfeld with Remax Realty Group, and I wanted to have a conversation with you today about how real estate professionals are compensated when you're buying a home. It's a conversation that some of my colleagues find to be uncomfortable, but you as a public have the right to know. So, a lot of people will come out and say that as a buyer's agent, my fees are paid by the seller, or I've even heard some of my colleagues say that they work for free, and maybe they do. But here's the bottom line. When you're buying a house in Maryland, you have to sign what's called a broker retainer agreement. And this forms a relationship between you as the buyer and me as your real estate professional. And it lays out what I am compensated in there. It could be anything from a flat fee, if that's what an agent does, to a percentage of your home sales price. Now, this is what's important about that. This means that you as the buyer are agreeing to compensate me as your real estate professional for the services that I provide to find you the right home and get you to become a home owner. Now, what does that mean to you? That means that you are going to agree to compensate a percentage of your home's purchase price. And what happens is that the seller may be willing to cover a portion or all of that price on your behalf. It's kind of like a subsidy to you. They're willing to cover the buyer's agency fee. But what happens if they don't? Well, what happens if they're only willing to cover a portion of it? For example, if I'm charging you, let's say, 2.5% of a purchase price and a seller's willing to cover 1.5%, there's that 1% gap, which contractually you would then be obligated to cover at the settlement. And that's great as long as you know and you understand that going into it. The worst thing that could happen is for you to go out and find that house that you love and you want to make home, and then have your real estate agent tell you, oh, by the way, I need to be compensated. If you know this ahead of time, that's great. And as a real estate professional, if I'm not having you sign this, that's going to be a real uncomfortable conversation to have with you as a seller. And perhaps you as the seller then have the right to say, no. What does that buyer broker agreement state? If it doesn't have a number in there, what is that buyer agent going to be compensated? Or in your buyer agency agreement, it says, as per the MLS. If the seller is offering no compensation to the buyer's agent, does that agent then work for free? And the answer could be yes. But listen, it's a tough conversation. And if your agent's not willing to have this conversation with you up front, what other tough conversations are they not willing to have with you? So if you're thinking about buying and selling a home, give me a call. I'll give you honest, candid advice throughout the process. It's Craig Rosenfeld with Remax Realty Group.